Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name's John. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Introductions aside, here's some gaming news that really captured my attention recently. Despite being shown at E3 this year, it looks like Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to take a lot longer to come out than what was originally anticipated. This is because the game's director, Tetsuya Nomura, is currently working on Final Fantasy 15, formerly known as Final Fantasy Versus 13, and Shinji Hashimoto, the Kingdom Hearts series producer, has said that it would be impossible to work on both games at the same time if they wanted both games to be perfect. We don't actually know how far along in development Kingdom Hearts 3 is, but it seems reasonable to assume that it's not very far along. When asked why Kingdom Hearts 3 was revealed at all during E3, Hashimoto stated that Square Enix thought it was about time that they addressed the speculation regarding the series finale. I'll not lie, I quite like the Kingdom Hearts series. I've not really played too much of the first one, but I've played 1.5, or Chain of Memories as it was formerly known, at least 2 or 3 times, and I'm pretty sure I've beaten 2 twice. I played the demo for Dream Drop Distance on the 3DS, but I didn't really enjoy it. Maybe I'll pick it up at some point and see if I enjoy the full game, but the demo wasn't particularly promising, so I find it unlikely. I also can't help but find it a little funny that Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories is now being rebranded as Kingdom Hearts 1.5 or 1.5 HD, because I always used to call it that to annoy a friend of mine who never really considered Chain of Memories to be part of Kingdom Hearts canon. While it's understandable that people don't want to wait to be able to play the games that they want to play, I'm sure we can all take solace in the fact that really long development times usually lead to great games. I mean, if you look past the bad business decisions, the horrible Day 1 issues, and the debacle regarding the colour palette, Diablo 3 was an incredibly well-received game, and that came out 12 years after Diablo 2. And of course, there's SimCity 5, which came out 10 years after SimCity 4, and, you know, I'm sure you all remember how well that was received. Patrick Plord, creative director of Far Cry 3, has now begun working on something very far removed from the Far Cry franchise. A princess's coming-of-age story by the name of Child of Light. Child of Light sees you taking the role of a young princess called Aurora, in the land of Lemuria, with an accomplice in the form of a spark named Igniculus? That'll do. Igniculus is controlled by a second player to help the princess solve puzzles and fight in battles. The role of Igniculus in Child of Light is similar to that of the second player in Super Mario Galaxy, which Plord cites as an inspiration for the game. While exploring the game world, which is absolutely beautiful, might I add, Igniculus can be used to temporarily blind enemies to avoid a fight, or should the young princess find herself in an altercation, Igniculus can then be used to slow down enemies so that they attack less frequently. Child of Light employs a turn-based battle system similar to that which was seen in Final Fantasy IV for the first time, and has been used in most Final Fantasy games in some way, shape or form ever since. Being both a father and a gamer, Plord wants parents to be able to share experience with their child in a similar manner to how parents and children will often share experience through, say, sports, or I can't think of any other examples. Again, I must state that this game just looks beautiful. It's made using the UbiArt framework, which is the same engine that was used in the recently released Rayman Legends and its predecessor Rayman Origins. Child of Light is slated to come out sometime in 2014 on Wii U, Xbox 360, PS3, PC, Xbox One, PS4... No, that's it. Hopefully this next piece of news will help to generate some good press for the gaming community, because gamers, and games in general, are quite often seen in a rather negative light. Kevin Can-I Griffith is an artist currently working on Diablo 3, but for the past 12 months has also been suffering from an incredibly rare and rather nasty form of cancer called alveolar soft part sarcoma, for which there's presently no known cure, and treatment for which is 1, experimental, and 2, rather pricey. Gamers for Good is a non-profit organisation founded by game developers Pete and Liz Cooper, and their aim is, and I quote, to provide charitable assistance for and in the name of game development and to educate the general public about game development. In other words, they're hoping to try and disperse some of the negativity associating games, gamers, game development, game, etc., the study of gameology. Gamers for Good has decided to help Griffith pay for his increasingly expensive treatment by creating an art book filled with fan art from Griffith's favourite games, which includes old classics such as Super Metroid, Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy IV, as well as more recent games such as Minecraft and World of Warcraft. Gamers for Good hopes to sell copies of this book in order to pay for Griffith's treatment. Even if you don't really care about helping Griffith fight cancer, the book's probably going to be amazing anyway. The project already has over 100 artists submitting things, and they're still accepting submissions until the middle of November. So if you're looking for something amazing to buy, then pick up the book. And if you're an artist looking to submit something to a good cause, then I'll leave a link In the most recent issue of Jump, a Japanese magazine, Square Enix has revealed that they're making a sequel to the 3DS rhythm game Theatrhythm Final Fantasy, called Theatrhythm Final Fantasy Curtain Call. Curtain Call is said to include over 200 songs, some from the recently released MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV, which is Square Enix's second MMO in the Final Fantasy series, and some from the not yet released Lightning Returns Final Fantasy XIII, which is the third installment in the Final Fantasy XIII series. As well as over 200 songs, Curtain Call is set to include over 60 characters in the new Versus battle mode. To put this in perspective, the original Theatrhythm had 77 songs and 29 characters, with a further 52 songs available through DLC at about $1 or £1 or €1, bringing the total number of songs up to 129. However, there's no mention of whether or not these 200 songs include what is available through DLC, and there's also no mention as to whether or not any of the characters will be paid DLC, such as in Final Fantasy or the Bravest on iOS and Android. Personally, so long as there's a good number of songs and characters available in the original game, I'm not really going to complain. That being said, with so many games trying to become service platforms instead of just being games, I wouldn't be too surprised if a fair number of songs and maybe characters ended up having to be paid for. Theatrhythm Final Fantasy Curtain Call is said to be coming out in Japan in spring of 2014. However, a patent has recently been filed for the Theatrhythm Final Fantasy Curtain Call name in North America, so it's quite likely that the game will end up being released in the West. Once again, thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you have any comments or criticisms, please feel free to let me know in the comments. Also, if you liked this video, then like the video, maybe subscribe to my channel. Either way, please have a good day, and I'll see you some other time.